So I'd like to start out by taking a quick poll here. How many folks here would be willing to become a cockroach to save the cockroaches from their cockroachiness? Anyone? Father? No? All right. Now, what if I sweeten the pot a bit? What if I said you could be king of the cockroaches? Still nothing. All right. Well, why is that? Well, it would be a giant step down, wouldn't it? Because we're so much greater than cockroaches, aren't we? We can reason and build and create art and fly to the moon and write stories and love. Cockroaches can't do that. Of course, we can also be ignorant and destroy and profane and lie and hate. Cockroaches can't do those things either. So think about this for a moment. Ontologically speaking, you and I are closer to cockroaches than we are to God. As I said before, it would be a pretty big step down for any of us to become a cockroach, but it's nothing compared to God stepping down to become human. You know, it's an absurd notion, really. God, an eternal, omnipotent being, the Alpha and the Omega, as we heard in that second reading, entering into a material body with its limitations and its aches and its pains and an expiration date. You know, when we talk about the sacrifice of Jesus, our natural inclination is to turn to the cross, right? It's there that we see this graphic display of the true meaning of sacrificial love. But it seems to me that the sacrifice of the cross starts at his conception. It's there that he takes that giant step down. It's there that he enters into our suffering and death. It's the very act of taking on the human form that leads to his passion and death, all of which leads to his resurrection from the dead. And now that he's completed his mission and he's resurrected from the dead, he can retire and enjoy the rest of eternity, right? Well, not so much. In the reading from Daniel, we see Jesus being presented to God and receiving dominion and glory and kingship. All of that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? King of kings, king of the universe. Well, I'm not so sure. There's a line from Shakespeare's Henry IV that goes like this: "Uneasy is the head that wears the crown." And I would add, especially when the crown is made of thorns. All of the power Jesus has as King of the universe comes with the responsibility of taking care of the universe, and most especially the people that inhabited it. I can't imagine why anyone would want that job, especially after what he experienced while he walked the earth and continues to experience today. You know, we see a snapshot of it in our gospel reading, right? There he is, King of the universe, being disrespected by some Roman official whom he could have crushed without a thought. He was accused of being a false king, a threat to Roman dominion. Jesus points out that if that was his goal, then his people would be fighting for him, because that's what human kingdoms do. But his mission was not to establish this rival kingdom, but rather was to show us the truth that love is the most powerful force in the universe, and what that love looks like. It's love that created the universe. It's love that created people, that created us. It's love that compelled the sacrifice God made to become a man. It's love that compelled the God-man to enter into the suffering of the cross. It's love that freed us from our sins and destroyed death. It's love that invites all of us to participate in the divinity and the kingship of God. It's love that compels Jesus to take on the burden of being King of the universe. And he takes on that burden because we need him to. See, we're wired as people to need a king. We can see that when the ancient Israelites asked God for a king in the first book of Samuel. God said, "But I'm your king." And they said, "Yeah, but we want a king like other nations have, someone to rule over us and lead us in battle and tell us what to do and make us pay taxes." Now the chosen people rejected God as their king. So God gave them what they wanted. He was patient. And then 2,000 years ago, he stepped into history and made his offer to restore his kingship, except this time with human lips. Now, human leaders at the time were reluctant to give up their power, so they did what humans tend to do. They eliminated the threat like he was some kind of cockroach. But they were too late because the kingdom had already been established. And it was impossible to stamp out because this kingdom didn't hold any physical territory for an army to attack. Rather, it held territory in the hearts of, as Jesus says in the gospel, everyone who belongs to the truth and listens to my voice. All right, well, that's all well and good, but what does that mean for us? Well, his kingdom, his kingship is not just some nice theological speculation. It has the potential to have a real impact on us personally. You see, he's not just king of the universe out there. No, there's a throne in our hearts made for a king to sit on. And it has a very specific shape. Well, we can try to sit on it, but we're not going to be comfortable there. So we need to get out of the way and invite him to sit there. We need to accept him as Lord of our lives because he's the only one worthy of it. All of our lives, every part of it, public and private. You know, it's how we tap into that greatest power in the universe, his love. If we want happiness, joy, contentment, and peace, we need to let him take his proper place on the throne of our hearts. Now, next week begins the Advent season, where we prepare to celebrate for the most important birthday in the entire history of humankind. Maybe we could start working on getting a gift fit for our king. Well, what do you get a king that has the entire universe? Well, there's some things that come from within our hearts that he longs for: our love, our compassion to others, our detachment from the sins that hold us captive. But there's one other thing that we ought to give him, and that's our gratitude. Our gratitude for the profound sacrifices he has made for us. And a grateful heart would make an excellent throne room and a fitting gift for a king.